Good evening, everybody. This is Ronson's By Any Means Necessary NCAA tournament bracket breakdown special. I haven't done these before in the last couple of years. I've been doing these videos, but I feel like I kind of just really want to do it today because my content, I haven't been making a whole lot of videos lately, so I want to boost, get those back up. I'm gonna see how much of this I can get through. I don't think I'm gonna get through all these games, all these picks in one video. I don't want to keep it, I don't want to make it super long, but I do have some time to kill as I wait for, there hasn't been a whole lot of new movies coming out these last couple of weeks. Just the Batman, I already saw that, wasn't super impressed. There's a new Foo Fighters movie, it's supposed to be a horror movie. I don't know why they didn't put it out, wait till Halloween or put it out last Halloween. It looks cheesy as shit, but I'm gonna watch it because I'm bored, and I'm really craving some movie theater popcorn right now. So I'm gonna go spring, spend a few bucks on that, and yeah. So I tried to take a nap, didn't work, and I've been trying to call the Department of Revenue all damn day because the Oregon Department of Revenue is once again stealing my money. They've been doing this for like a decade. The first few years, I think it was like 7 years, I owed some tuition for college, so it made sense that they were taking it. And then they, have garnished my wages because of unpaid tickets, which, I think I still think it's unethical. I still think that's, low level bullshit, but I deserve that too. But these last couple of years, they have just straight up refused to give me my state tax return, and I don't understand why. I'm so tired of dealing with these guys. I cannot even express the amount of frustration and aggravation and anger, despite the smile on my face, I have towards the Oregon Department of Revenue, and I do not want to deal with them at all. I wish that my tax person would deal with it, or that I could afford a lawyer to deal with it, because I am tired of it. I'm done with it. But I've been trying to call them all day. The call volume is high, so my wait has been long. All 3 times I've tried to get through, and so I haven't gotten through. I don't know when I'm gonna get through, because I'm gonna have to try again one of these afternoons at work or something. But yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to the bracket stuff here real quick. I'm gonna start with, the way it looks when you fill out your bracket on ESPN Tournament Challenge. We start with the West, where we got Gonzaga versus Georgia State. The one seed Gonzaga versus 16 seed Georgia State. One of these days, the 16 seed is going to win against the 1 seed. But none of us are ever going to see it coming. We're never going to predict it, because we're going to be like, oh, that 1 seed, yeah, that's been one of the most dominant college basketball teams in the season all year. There's no way they're going to lose to the 16th seed. So I'm going to say Georgia State has no chance here against Gonzaga. But Georgia State is one of those 16 seeds that has overcome a lot of adversity this season, has some talent, is well coached. Again, Gonzaga is such a dominant team, I just can't see it happening. But if I guess if I was going to pick any 16 seed to win this season against a 1 seed, Georgia State against Gonzaga seems like the most likely, although none of them are likely. So we got Gonzaga moving on to the second round, right? Except not Georgia State. Next, we got the 8-9 game, Boise State versus Memphis. I don't think Boise State should be this high. I also don't know if Memphis should be this high. Memphis really struggled for most of the year. Once they kicked Monty Bates, or I shouldn't say kicked Monty Bates off the team. There's no confirmation of that yet, but all indications are that Monty Bates is not coming back to Memphis next year. That was a failed experiment. Unfortunately, Monty Bates is supremely talented. I think he still has a bright future in this game. I mean, you got to keep in mind the kid literally just turned 18, so he should still be a senior in high school this year. But Penny Hardaway trying to make him a point guard was a bad move, and I don't know what's next for Amani Bates in his career, but I think that he's going to be successful still. I still have high hopes for him as a dynasty basketball prospect coming into 2023. But without further ado, Boise State is a well-coached, experienced team. But I think Memphis was a lot of people's, started the season as a top 10 pick. They have a lot of talent. I don't have any faith really in Penny Hardaway's coaching, but I think the talent of Memphis, the athleticism of Memphis here, the future pros in Jalen Duren, possibly others that they have on their team is going to win against Boise State. So we got the 1 seed Gonzaga and the 9 seed Memphis moving on to face each other in the second round. Next, we got 5 seed UConn, 12 seed New Mexico State. UConn's a pretty good team with a lot of size, a lot of talent, a lot of matchup problems for New Mexico State there as the 12 seed. I don't see the 5-12 game. Keep in mind the 5-12 game is always prime for upsets. The 12 seed, there's at least 2, sometimes 3 12s that win every year out of these 4 games. So don't be surprised if New Mexico State does somehow pull off something. I just don't see how they're going to do it. I'm going with UConn over New Mexico State, moving on to the second round. Now, the 4 and 13. This is a really challenging one for me. Arkansas, I think Arkansas is a really good team, well coached. Eric Musselman, one of the very best coaches in college basketball right now. He's a good tournament coach, as we saw last year. He took Arkansas all the way to the Elite Eight when they weren't really supposed to get past the second round. I do like Arkansas this year. Arkansas is still a good team, but Vermont, their opponent, the 13 seed, Vermont is loaded with seniors, and they keep a slower pace than what is typical in college basketball this year, so that's going to provide some matchup problems. They're very well coached by John Becker, who I think John Becker is a guy who is going to parlay his success from Vermont into a bigger job this offseason. Could be Rhode Island, could be Maryland, could be somewhere else. Those are just the obvious ones to me because he's already in the Northeast. Rhode Island has an opening. Maryland has an opening. Also, John Becker, I believe, if I remember reading correctly, is from the Washington, D.C. area originally, so he might like to get back there. I'm going to pick Vermont in this one. I'm going to pick Vermont. No disrespect to Arkansas or Eric Musselman. I just think this is just a bad matchup for them, and I'm going with Vermont. Vermont is probably my top Cinderella. There's some other teams that are considered mid-majors, but they're kind of in the 10 seed or higher, so it's kind of hard to call them a Cinderella, right? Cinderellas are teams in the 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 range. So Vermont, I'm going to say, is probably going to be my top Cinderella of the year if they start this tournament off with a bang against Vermont. So they're moving on to the second round to face UConn. Now, we got the 6 and 11 game. We got 6 seed Alabama, which is definitely not the Alabama basketball team of our, of my youth. Alabama's become a very successful basketball school under Nate Oates. And, it's hard to say they had a down year this year. I think last year was just a really up year. I think the year is kind of more going to be the norm for Alabama basketball. Really good, but not national championship contender good. Which Nate Oates has really been a huge surprise to me. I didn't think he never coached in the Southeast before. I was like, that just seems like a really strange hire, but he's been incredibly successful at Alabama. He's going to be facing either Rutgers or Notre Dame. Rutgers and Notre Dame have to play each other on Thursday to determine who gets to advance technically into the second round. Rutgers is a team that, I think they got some talent. They're well coached. I like Ron Harper Jr. a lot. I don't know if they necessarily belong here in the NCAA tournament. I don't think they were good enough. I think Wake Forest, honestly, Wake Forest was the biggest snub. I think Wake Forest should have been here instead of Rutgers, in my opinion. Notre Dame, another really well-coached team that kind of was underachieved this season. They do have two young, really talented players in Blake Wesley, who's a potential lottery pick this season, even though I think he should probably come back for his sophomore year. And then there's the white guy. What's his name? I forgot his name already, but they're another senior-dominated team other than Blake Wesley. So Notre Dame could. There's always lately, since the NCAA tournament has expanded to 68 teams, they had the play-in games for the 11 seeds. There's usually been one team from that play-in game, that 11 seed play-in game, that goes deep into the tournament. My money, if I was betting on these two teams, Notre Dame is going to win this game, and Notre Dame is going to be that team that makes a surprise run into the Sweet 16 or whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm picking them, but I am going to pick them to win this game. I'm going to pick Rutgers to beat. I'm going to pick Notre Dame over Rutgers in that game, and then I'm going to pick Notre Dame over Alabama to get into the round of 32. So the winner of the the play-in game, the 11 seed, will get to the second round. Alabama will go down in the first round this year. I'm 11 minutes in, and I'm still in the West bracket. See, I knew this was going to take longer than I thought. I think I'm just going to do a four-part video and do each bracket on its own. So this is the West region, the West bracket. Moving on to the 3 and 14 game, we got Texas Tech with the 3 and Montana State at the 14. Montana State was not necessarily a surprising representative from the Big Sky Conference, but Montana State is not a traditional Big Sky Conference basketball power. That's usually the school on the other side of the state, the University of Montana in Missoula, where coaches like Larry Kraskowiak have played and coached at. Wayne Tinkle, the current Oregon State Beavers coach, had some success before coming to Oregon State. Montana is a traditional Big Sky powerhouse, so it's weird to see Montana State here instead of Montana, and I can attest to the state of Montana that University of Montana is in a much better location in the state than Montana State, which is in Bozeman, which Bozeman's not terrible, but Bozeman is kind of on the edge of the part of Montana where it starts getting shitty over there. So Missoula, though, where University of Montana is located, is a fabulous little town that is growing at a very large rate. It reminds me a lot of the Eugene Springfield area. In fact, my parents are trying to move out there, and they want me to come with them, but I'm not interested in Montana. At least not, I'm built for cold weather. I like cold weather. My problem with cold weather is wet, and I'm tired of rain. Rain is depressing. Seasonal depression is a real thing. I'm tired of precipitation of any sort. I'm tired of rain. I'm tired of snow. I don't want to live in a place where it gets that stuff. That's why I'm trying to leave this area. I'm trying to go to the desert, the Southwest. Complete opposite of what I've been raised in my entire life. Anyways, I got off on a nice little tangent there. Montana State is not beating Texas Tech in the first round. Texas Tech, I don't know how far Texas Tech is going to go. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Texas Tech, I don't think. But they're definitely winning the first round game against Montana State. 7-10 game. Michigan State versus Davidson at 10. Now, here's another opportunity for one of my Cinderellas that's technically not a Cinderella. Davidson is a 10 seed or higher, so they do not qualify for Cinderella status. But I like Davidson a lot this year. They've got the most efficient offense in the country, which is a good indicator of tournament success. They also have an experienced team, which is another indicator of tournament success, and they're very well coached by Bob McKell, one of the most underappreciated and most unknown successful coaches in college basketball. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Michigan State. Tom Izzo is a fantastic coach, one of the best coaches in college basketball history. This just isn't a very good Michigan State team, in my opinion, this year, whereas it's a very, very good Davidson team. I'm going with Davidson over Michigan State in this game. I don't know how much of an upset it really is. Again, Davidson is a 10 seed, but Michigan State is one of the behemoths of college basketball over the last half centuries, or I mean quarter century. Well, I'll say half century. Well, I guess we could say half century. Magic Johnson won a national championship there, we can say. So yeah, we could say the last 50 years, but definitely over the last 25 years of the Tom Izzo era. But again, this isn't the best Michigan State team. It is one of the best Davidson teams of all time. I'm going with Davidson in this game. Now moving on to the last 2 versus 15. We got Puke University and Mike Krzyzewski's final season versus the 15 seed from the Big West, Cal State Fullerton. As much as I would love to see Duke lose in the first round, because they have done this before. Lehigh, Duke was a 2, Lehigh was a 15 with CJ McCollum, and Lehigh wiped the floor of them. I think there was a year where Mercer was a 15 seed and beat Duke as a 2 seed. So Puke is no stranger to being upset as the 2 seed in the first round. But I think these Dukies are going to be a little motivated to send Coach K out with a little bit of success, especially after the way they lost his final game at Cameron to North Carolina. I think these players are going to have a little bit more pride, and they're at least going to win one game for him. Plus, they're just uber talented. A lot of future NBA players on that team, whereas Cal State Fullerton has anybody has ever heard of. So, reluctantly, I'm going to pick Puke to advance in this game. All right, since I'm already 16 and a half minutes in, and I've only just touched the West, the first round of the West, I'm just going to go ahead and just breeze through the rest of the West, second round, and I'll just do the East, the South, and the Midwest in another part video. So, second round of the West, we got Gonzaga at 1 versus Memphis at 9. Memphis, very talented team. A lot of people had them going to the Elite 8 or at least the Sweet 16 coming into the season. Unfortunately, they've had a little bit more of a disappointing season, which gave them a lower seed, which means they face the powerhouse that is Gonzaga in the second round instead of the third or the fourth round. I don't think Memphis has what it takes to get past Gonzaga here. So Gonzaga beats Memphis to move on to the third round in the Sweet 16. Next, we've got number 5 seed UConn versus number 3 seed Vermont. Again, these two teams, totally different styles, totally different paces. They're going to be matchup problems for each. However, something tells me, I picked Vermont to pull the upset against Arkansas. I'm going to pick Vermont again to pull the upset on UConn here. Vermont is squeaking through to the Sweet 16 by beating UConn. And Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley, as good as a coach as he is, as good a recruiter as he is, he hasn't had very much success in the NCAA tournament, and that lack of success will continue here again this year. Now, we've got the Rutgers versus Notre Dame game winner, which I've already said is Notre Dame, and they will be playing Texas Tech in the second round. And since I'm gonna go with recent history here and say that the winner of that play-in game between the 11 seeds has a lot of NCAA tournament success in that same year, I'm picking Notre Dame reluctantly over Texas Tech because, again, I said coming in I didn't have a whole lot of faith in Texas Tech as an NCAA tournament contender. And I'm not a big Notre Dame fan either. I have a problem with religious institutions that think that they are real schools. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but they're just so snobby to me. Like BYU, Notre Dame, these kinds of schools, I think they're better than everybody else, and yeah, I'm gonna go. This is gonna be Blake Wesley's coming out party, and I think he's the best player by far on the court in this game. So I'm gonna go with Notre Dame over Texas Tech. Notre Dame finds themselves in the Sweet 16. Next, we got Davidson versus Duke. I'm gonna pick the upset again. Davidson gets past Duke, sends Mike Krzyzewski home early in another NCAA tournament. In his final NCAA tournament, Davidson gets to the Sweet 16. So we've got 3 out of 4 teams in this bracket, other than Gonzaga, that are all 10 seeds or lower in the Sweet 16. So from here, Gonzaga should have a pretty easy ride, correct? We'll see. Moving on to the Sweet 16 in the West bracket. I can't believe I'm 20 minutes in. I cannot believe how much I talk. I hate talking. Like, I'm not a conversationalist. I'm an introvert. I'm not a... but yeah, here I am. I guess I could talk sports all day. I literally can. Gonzaga versus Vermont in the Sweet 16. This is where Vermont's run ends. Vermont's had a very nice run, Sweet 16. As I said, John Becker, the coach, is going to parlay this success into a bigger job this offseason. But Gonzaga makes short work of Vermont. Gonzaga gets to the Elite Eight. Now we've got Notre Dame versus Davidson. This doesn't look right from what I actually picked. Is it what I actually picked? All right, Notre Dame versus Davidson. I'm gonna roll with Davidson again. I really think this team is reminiscent of the Elite Eight run that Stephen Curry went on with Davidson. What was it, 15 years ago now? Again, Davidson is the most efficient offensive team in the country, and they have experience that usually leads to a lot of NCAA tournament success. Davidson gets to the Elite Eight over Notre Dame. So the West Regional Final, we've got number 1 seed Gonzaga versus number 10 seed Davidson. Am I going to pick Davidson again? No, I'm not picking Davidson again. Gonzaga's getting to the Final Four here. Gonzaga's just too loaded. Gonzaga's on a mission. This could potentially be the year Gonzaga finally wins it. I thought that was going to be last year, but it didn't happen. But they do have another generational talent in Chet Holmgren. They do have another Drew Timme, stud big man, still around. Andrew Nembhard, very experienced older guard. Julian Strother is one of those wings that came out of nowhere this year. Gonzaga has a lot of talent. I think they're going to just the size of Gonzaga is really what's going to overwhelm Davidson. Davidson's going to hang around. Davidson's not going to be an easy win for Gonzaga, but Gonzaga, the Giants, the Goliath of mid-majors. It's such a Goliath now. They're not even technically considered the mid-major anymore. Is your West Regional champion. Seems like a foregone conclusion. I wasted almost 23 minutes of your time just to get to the obvious point, right? But yeah. Gonzaga versus Davidson for the West Regional Final. Gonzaga wins it. I'll have to get to my Final Four later on, I guess. I don't know. I was hoping that I could get all of this whole bracket done in one video, but that was awfully ambitious. All right, I'm gonna get to the East region here later on. Thanks so much for tuning in. And nacho fries are back at Taco Bell again. So, the world is getting more nacho fries. I don't know why they don't just keep that shit on the menu year round. People love it. It's just like the McDonald's McRib, which is foul, by the way. I don't understand why people like the McRib. Like it. You can get that shit at the grocery store any day of the week, and you can get like 8 of them in a little $2 box. But people want the onion, and what else is on there? It's like a Philly cheesesteak, but instead of steak, it's a McRib, right? So it's like onion and peppers. Whatever. Onions are foul, and peppers are good, but I like peppers separately. I don't like peppers on anything. But yeah, the nacho fries just need to be on the menu year round. Come on, Taco Bell, get with it. All right, get with it. Anyways, peace, love, and nacho fries. Congratulations to the Gonzaga Bulldogs for getting back to the Final Four. Hypothetically. Good evening.